Shocking money stats of the average person. Why do you lie awake wondering if you're doing better or worse financially than everyone else, when most people are struggling with the same money challenges you face? While social media shows endless vacation photos and luxury purchases, the statistical reality reveals that the average American has just $65,000 saved for retirement and carries $9,000 in credit card debt. Here's what most financial content won't tell you. These statistics aren't meant to shame or create anxiety, but to provide realistic context for making informed decisions. Understanding where you actually stand compared to real data, not social media highlights, can help reduce financial stress and guide better choices. Over the next few minutes, I'll reveal 7 principles that show both the challenges and achievable opportunities in American finances. The 5th principle exposes why the retirement crisis affects almost everyone, regardless of income level. Important perspective. Your worth isn't determined by your net worth, and gradual progress beats perfectionism every time. If you want honest financial context without judgment, subscribe and comment realistic perspective below. But that's just the beginning. What I'm about to reveal shows why the merchant's spending river explains where most people's money actually flows. 1. The merchant spending river. Understanding where the average American's money flows each month reveals both the challenges and opportunities in household financial management, though these patterns shouldn't be used for self-judgment, but rather as context for making informed decisions. Recognizing typical spending distributions helps identify potential optimization areas without requiring dramatic lifestyle changes. Medieval resource management faced distribution challenges that illustrate how money flows through modern households. A prosperous village received steady water supplies from mountain streams, but had developed no coordinated system for managing this essential resource throughout its community. Water poured through the village along well-established channels that had formed organically over generations. The largest stream carried $1,885 monthly toward shelter, covering rent, mortgage payments, property taxes, utilities, insurance, and maintenance. This represented the most substantial single outflow, consuming over 1/3 of total resources. The second major channel directed $691 monthly towards sustaining the population through food purchases, grocery shopping, and dining expenses. This flow included both essential nutrition and social meals that provided community connection and convenience during busy periods. Transportation consumed another $930 monthly as villagers needed reliable methods to travel between home, work, markets, and social gathering places. This channel included vehicle payments, insurance, fuel, maintenance, and occasional public transportation costs. The remaining $3,088 was scattered across dozens of smaller channels throughout the village. Healthcare, clothing, entertainment, personal care, education, gifts, subscriptions, and countless minor expenses that individually seemed insignificant, but collectively represented substantial resource allocation. The village's total outflow reached $5,577 monthly, requiring equivalent inflow just to maintain current living standards. This meant villagers needed to generate approximately $67,000 annually in take-home income before considering any wealth building, emergency funds, or financial goal achievement. Modern household spending demonstrates identical patterns. The Bureau of Labor Statistics confirms these average flows, revealing that most families require substantial income streams just to break even on basic living expenses. Critical insight. These spending patterns aren't inherently good or bad. They represent necessary life functions, including shelter, nutrition, transportation, and healthcare. However, understanding these flows enables strategic optimization without requiring extreme lifestyle restrictions. The key lies in examining each channel for efficiency improvements rather than elimination. Could housing costs be reduced through location changes or housing arrangements? Might transportation expenses be lowered through vehicle optimization or alternative commuting methods? Are food costs balanced appropriately between nutrition, convenience, and enjoyment? 2. The Goldsmith's debt chains. Consumer debt creates ongoing wealth transfers that prevent asset accumulation, though addressing debt requires strategic approaches rather than shame-based thinking that can undermine long-term financial health. Understanding debt's impact on wealth building helps prioritize elimination strategies while maintaining psychological well-being. Medieval craftsmanship faced resource allocation challenges that reveal how debt obligations affect financial freedom. 2 skilled artisans possessed identical talents and market opportunities, but operated under completely different financial constraints that shaped their professional possibilities. The free craftsman could choose projects based on skill development, profit potential, and personal interest. When lucrative commissions appeared, he could invest time and materials, knowing that successful completion would build both his reputation and financial resources. This craftsman's flexibility allowed him to pursue apprenticeship opportunities, experiment with new techniques, and take calculated risks that might enhance his long-term earning capacity. The chained artisan owed the local goldsmith $9,000, accumulated through previous tool purchases and emergency borrowing. The goldsmith demanded 20% annual tribute, creating one $1,800 yearly obligation before the artisan could earn anything for personal use. These chains prevented the artisan from pursuing advantageous opportunities that required upfront time investment or material costs. Every month, tribute payments consumed resources that could otherwise purchase better tools, high-quality materials, or skill development training. The psychological weight of constant obligation created additional stress that affected decision-making and reduced creative capacity during challenging projects. Modern credit card debt functions identically. The average $9,000 balance with typical 20% interest rates transfers $1,800 annually to creditors before building any personal wealth. This represents money that could fund emergency accounts, retirement contributions, or investment opportunities. Important perspective: credit card debt often results from legitimate needs, unexpected expenses, or economic circumstances beyond individual control. The goal involves strategic elimination without self-criticism that could undermine mental health and decision-making capacity. Debt elimination strategies should focus on mathematical optimization, tackling the highest interest rates first while maintaining minimum payments elsewhere. However, these approaches must balance financial efficiency with psychological sustainability to ensure long-term success. The transformation from chained to free status creates opportunities for wealth building that extend far beyond the original debt amounts through compound effects over time. 3. The Village's empty granaries retirement preparation across America reveals a concerning gap between necessary resources and actual accumulation. Though understanding these realities can motivate better planning rather than create despair about future security. Recognizing the scale of this challenge helps individuals make informed decisions while avoiding both complacency and panic. Agricultural communities throughout history faced seasonal preparation challenges that illustrate why long-term resource management requires different thinking than immediate consumption decisions. A prosperous farming village experienced abundant summer harvests that supported comfortable living and community celebrations. During harvest festivals, villagers enjoyed elaborate feasts, built beautiful decorations, and shared their abundance generously with neighbors and travelers. The immediate prosperity felt permanent and sustainable, creating psychological comfort about future security. However, seasonal reality demanded different resource allocation. Winters lasted 25 to 30 years in this climate, far longer than most villagers' productive farming careers. Surviving these extended winters required storing grain during productive seasons, rather than consuming everything during abundant periods. Village surveys revealed concerning preparation patterns. 25% of residents had stored no grain whatsoever for the winter months, assuming that abundant harvests would continue indefinitely or that other villagers would share their reserves during difficult times. Among those who had attempted preparation, the median grain storage totaled enough supplies for approximately 3 to 4 winter months. Using traditional rationing methods, this provided roughly $300 monthly sustenance when villagers needed resources for 25-plus years of winter survival. The mathematical reality was stark. Most villagers approaching winter faced dramatic lifestyle reductions or dependence on external support systems that might not remain reliable throughout extended seasonal challenges. Modern retirement statistics demonstrate identical patterns. Federal Reserve data shows median retirement savings of $65,000 across all age groups, with 25% of Americans having zero retirement account balances. The 4% withdrawal rule, considered sustainable for retirement planning, would provide approximately $2,600 annually from $65,000 in savings. This translates to roughly $217 monthly income from retirement accounts, far below most people's living expenses. Even Americans aged 65 and older, who represent the most prepared demographic, have median retirement savings of only $88,000. This generates approximately $300 monthly income using conservative withdrawal rates. Critical perspective. These statistics reflect systemic challenges, including stagnant wages, rising healthcare costs, student loan burdens, and economic volatility that affect individual saving capacity. However, understanding these realities enables better planning decisions for those able to implement changes. 4. The kingdom's wealth ladder's net worth accumulation patterns reveal both achievable milestones and significant disparities across different life stages, though these comparisons should inspire strategic planning rather than create anxiety about personal progress relative to others. Understanding typical wealth-building trajectories helps set realistic expectations while maintaining motivation for consistent improvement. Social organization throughout history faced resource distribution challenges that illustrate how wealth accumulation varies by life stage and individual circumstances. A medieval kingdom measured citizen prosperity through accumulated assets at different life phases, creating both motivation and social pressure around wealth comparisons. Young citizens under 35 averaged modest asset accumulation of $14,000, which created anxiety among those falling below this benchmark. However, this represented natural early career patterns where education costs, family formation, and career establishment limited savings capacity. The kingdom's measurement system revealed accelerating wealth building over time. Citizens aged 35 to 44 typically held $91,000 in assets, while those 45 to 54 had accumulated $168,000. The 55 to 64 demographic averaged $212,000, and citizens aged 65 to 74 had a median wealth of $266,000. These progression patterns demonstrated that consistent habits over decades created substantial wealth building despite modest individual annual increases. The compound effect of time, combined with systematic resource allocation, enabled dramatic improvement from early career limitations. However, the latter system also created psychological challenges. Citizens constantly compared their progress to others, sometimes generating destructive competition or discouragement when personal circumstances affected accumulation rates. Modern net worth statistics follow similar trajectories. Federal Reserve data confirms these median wealth levels across age groups, showing both the achievability of gradual wealth building and the importance of sustained effort over decades. Critical insight. These numbers represent medians, meaning half of the people in each age group have accumulated more, while half have less. Individual circumstances, including health issues, family responsibilities, regional cost differences, and career disruptions, significantly affect personal wealth-building capacity. The statistics provide useful context for financial planning without suggesting that everyone should achieve identical outcomes. Focusing on personal progress rather than comparative rankings typically produces better long-term results while maintaining psychological well-being throughout the wealth-building process. Understanding these patterns can motivate appropriate action without creating unhealthy stress about meeting arbitrary benchmarks that may not reflect individual circumstances or values. 5. The farmers' seed hoarding savings rates across America reveal insufficient preparation for long-term financial security, though addressing this challenge requires gradual, sustainable approaches rather than dramatic lifestyle restrictions that could harm mental health and social relationships. Understanding why current saving patterns fall short helps motivate realistic improvements without creating destructive guilt about past decisions. Agricultural sustainability faced resource allocation challenges that illustrate why short-term consumption versus long-term investment requires careful balance. Two neighboring farmers inherited identical plots of fertile land, but approached harvest distribution with fundamentally different philosophies about present enjoyment versus future security. The consumption farmer allocated 94% of each harvest toward immediate community needs and personal satisfaction. During abundant seasons, his approach created prosperous village celebrations, generous hospitality for travelers, and comfortable living standards that provided genuine happiness and social connection. This farmer's philosophy seemed reasonable because it prioritized present-moment well-being and community relationships. His generous sharing created goodwill among neighbors and provided psychological satisfaction through visible prosperity. The future planner reserved 6% of each harvest for seed replanting and long-term agricultural development. However, agricultural experts recommended 15 to 20% seed reservation for sustainable farm expansion and protection against poor growing seasons. The 6% allocation barely maintained current production levels without enabling growth or providing adequate protection during inevitable difficult years. This minimal future planning created vulnerability despite appearing responsible compared to complete consumption approaches. When challenging seasons arrived, as they inevitably do in agricultural cycles, the difference became critical. The consumption farmer faced immediate hardship with no reserves, while the future planner's modest 6% provided limited protection that quickly proved insufficient for extended difficulties. Modern savings patterns demonstrate identical challenges. Bureau of Economic Analysis data shows Americans save approximately 6% of their after-tax income, which falls significantly short of financial experts' recommendations for retirement security. The mathematical reality requires honest assessment. 6% savings rates cannot fund both short-term goals, emergency funds, home down payments, vehicle purchases, and long-term retirement needs. Most financial advisors suggest 10 to 15% minimum savings rates specifically for retirement, separate from other financial objectives. However, increasing savings rates must be approached realistically. Dramatic lifestyle reductions often prove unsustainable and can create psychological stress that undermines long-term financial health. Gradual improvements, increasing savings by 1 to 2% annually, typically produce better results than attempting immediate major changes. 6. The scholar's income illusion. Income planning requires understanding actual purchasing power rather than gross salary figures, though this reality shouldn't discourage career development, but rather inform more accurate budgeting and financial goal setting. Recognizing the gap between advertised income and take-home amounts helps create realistic expectations and better decision-making. Academic institutions faced compensation challenges that reveal why apparent income differs significantly from actual spending capacity. Two scholars received similar educational opportunities, but approached income planning with different levels of understanding about practical financial realities. The gross salary professor celebrated his $52,000 annual appointment, feeling confident about his economic prospects and ability to fund various lifestyle goals. He planned major purchases, housing decisions, and social activities based on this impressive-seeming income figure. The professor's enthusiasm was understandable because $52,000 annually represented substantial earning potential compared to student poverty or entry-level positions in other fields. The Net Reality student conducted a detailed analysis of actual purchasing power after all deductions. Federal taxes, state taxes, Social Security contributions, Medicare payments, and potentially health insurance or retirement contributions reduced the $52,000 to approximately $35,000 to $40,000 in actual spending capacity. This calculation revealed a $12,000 to $17,000 gap between gross income expectations and net financial reality, a difference that could dramatically affect budgeting accuracy and financial goal achievement. The student's approach seemed pessimistic compared to the professor's optimistic planning, but it enabled more accurate decision-making about housing affordability, transportation costs, and lifestyle sustainability. Modern income planning benefits from a similar realistic assessment. The median American income of approximately $52,000 translates to roughly $35,000 to $40,000 in take-home pay, depending on state tax rates and benefit deductions. This gap affects every major financial decision, from housing affordability to retirement planning. Budgeting based on gross income creates systematic overspending that prevents wealth building and can lead to debt accumulation. Understanding actual purchasing power enables better financial planning without discouraging career advancement. The goal involves working with realistic numbers rather than inflated expectations that create planning problems. Tax efficiency strategies, including 401k contributions, health savings accounts, and other pre-tax benefits, can help optimize the relationship between gross and net income while building long-term wealth. The bridge timing gap, retirement timing, reveals a critical planning gap that affects most Americans. Though understanding this challenge enables better preparation rather than creating despair about future possibilities. Recognizing the disconnect between desired retirement age and benefit availability helps inform realistic timeline planning while maintaining hope for financial security. Infrastructure development throughout history faced connectivity challenges that illustrate why timing coordination becomes essential for successful transitions. Two engineers received assignments to help citizens cross from their productive working years to their leisure retirement phase. The early retirement dreamer designed beautiful retirement communities for citizens wanting to stop working at age 61. His plans featured attractive amenities and comfortable living arrangements that appealed to workers exhausted by decades of labor and eager to begin their leisure years. This engineer's vision seemed compassionate because it acknowledged workers' legitimate desires for rest and personal time after 39 years of career dedication. His retirement communities provided immediate relief from workplace stress and offered appealing lifestyle improvements. The systematic bridge builder discovered a critical infrastructure problem. The Social Security bridge wouldn't be completed until citizens reached age 67. This created a 6-year gap where early retirees needed alternative transportation across the financial river separating work from security. The bridge builder calculated that citizens would need resources for 25+ years of retirement, longer than most people's entire career spans. With median savings of $88,000 providing only $300 monthly income, the gap between retirement dreams and financial reality became mathematically problematic. However, the bridge builder's analysis revealed opportunities rather than just obstacles. Citizens who understood the timing gap could plan accordingly, either working longer, saving more aggressively, or developing transitional income strategies during the bridge construction period. Modern retirement realities demonstrate this identical timing challenge. Americans retire at an average age 61, but can't access full Social Security benefits until 67, creating a funding gap that requires either extended work, substantial savings, or alternative income sources. Understanding this gap enables strategic planning rather than creating discouragement. Citizens can adjust retirement timing, increase savings rates, or explore part-time work options that bridge the financial gap while maintaining some personal freedom. The key involves realistic planning that acknowledges both constraints and possibilities, rather than abandoning retirement goals or maintaining unrealistic expectations about timing and financial requirements. These 7 principles, understanding spending flows, addressing debt strategically, preparing for retirement realities, building wealth gradually, saving systematically, planning with accurate income figures, and bridging timing gaps, reveal both widespread financial challenges and achievable improvement opportunities. However, the most important insight involves using these statistics for perspective rather than self-judgment. Individual circumstances vary dramatically based on health, family needs, geographic location, and economic factors beyond personal control. The goal involves gradual, sustainable improvements that enhance life quality rather than creating financial anxiety or destructive comparison habits. Financial health requires a balance between present enjoyment and future security. Extreme frugality can damage relationships and mental well-being, just as overspending undermines long-term stability. Focus on progress rather than perfection, and remember that your worth extends far beyond your net worth. How do these financial realities compare to your experience? What strategies have helped you balance current needs with future planning? Share your perspective below and subscribe to content that addresses real-world financial challenges with honest, practical guidance. Remember, sustainable financial improvement happens gradually through consistent habits rather than dramatic lifestyle changes.